My name's Amata, and in this Red Gamer Tech video I'm here with the latest from the tech and gaming world in the last 24 or so hours. Today I have for you a few gifts. The first of all is Biostar, who did a bit of an oopsie regarding Intel's Z390 platform. Then we have a bit of a gift from Feral Interactive to anyone who games on Linux. Then we're going to move on to our gaming segment as South Korea has levied some hefty fines over loot crates. And then finally we're going to end things up with Jade Raymond. Now of course she is well known for her work at Ubisoft, as she basically helped create the franchise known as Assassin's Creed, and of course she left that company for EA some time ago, so there's been a lot of speculation as to what she's actually working on, and she actually had a few words to say about this. But as I said, let's begin things with Biostar. So this one is a bit amusing, as Biostar has inadvertently confirmed the Intel Z390 platform with a user manual of all things for their upcoming Biostar Z390 Racing GT3 motherboard. Now, basically, Biostar apparently decided to cover both the B360 and Z390 motherboards in a single user manual, and basically accidentally spilled the beans on the as-of-yet-unannounced Z390 platform. So there are a few screen grabs of the manual itself, and we can actually glean a few details, such as the maximum TDP for the Z390 being in the 95 watt range, as apparently that is the maximum supported by the GT5 motherboard. So not really much to be gleaned here other than Biostar have accidentally confirmed the Z390, but it still is interesting that we've had an inadvertent reveal via a user manual of all things, the things that most people don't even read half the time. However, let's move on to Feral Interactive. So essentially what's happened here is that they have released their free open source tool by the name of Game Mode to help anyone who games on Linux squeeze every drop of performance out of their systems. Now basically what Game Mode is a small daemon and library combo that instructs the processor to run in performance mode when you are running a game. Now if perhaps you want to install this, there's going to be a link in the description below this video to a GitHub, and you can find the instructions for the installation. Now, they've also announced that Rise of the Tomb Raider is going to be the first Linux title to integrate Game Mode, and future games are going to be supporting it as well from this particular publisher. Now, they have also said on their Twitter, which is where they announced this, that you may also see some benefit in older games, but obviously you're going to get the fullest on games that actually have Game Mode support built in. So just a nice little bonus for anyone who happens to game on Linux. Now, of course, I'm sure that's not very many of you, but still, it's nice to see companies giving support to Linux gamers despite this. So let's move on to our gaming segment, and the first one we're going to touch on is South Korea and loot boxes. Now, as we've discussed ad nauseum at this point, Star Wars Battlefront 2 definitely shone a bright spotlight on loot boxes, and numerous governmental bodies have decided to take a look. Obviously, we've had results from some of them, but others are still investigating whether or not their laws need to be updated. So late last week, the Korea Herald reported that several of the top South Korean game developers were fined nearly $1 million for deceiving people about their odds of attaining high-level loot. So the Korean Fair Trade Commission hit various companies, and the one that was hit the most was Nexon Korea, and they were given roughly around $885,000 in fines. And we also saw a fairly hefty fine to Netmarble Games, who were fined $56,000, and a third developer by the name of Nextfloor were fined $4,700. And the Korean Herald said these were the, quote, highest ever penalties handed down for violations of the Electronic Commerce Act. So, as I said, this isn't over the fact that they had loot boxes. The issue in these cases were that they misstated the odds of earning high-level loot. Just to give an example, Nexon said that items would be given out, quote, at random, but the actual odds of earning these items was closer to 0.5%. So the issue that they had here is that they were pretty much lying to people about their chances of getting this particular loot, and probably encouraging them to spending more money than they actually would have had they known the actual odds of getting the item that they want. Now, unsurprisingly, Nexon Korea aren't just going to take this lying down. They have issued a statement saying that they disagree with the FTC, which obviously, as I said, is the Korean Fair Trade Commission, and basically has issued a statement, as I already said. And they said, quote, in our puzzle event, we used the phrase random provision to suggest items would be provided at random, and the odds of obtaining each puzzle piece were different. However, the FTC interpreted the phrase as suggesting equal odds. We plan to work on obtaining an additional review of this issue in the future. However, according to the FTC, Nexon offered boxes through Celebrity Count in its event, in the Celebrity Count event in the game Sudden Attack. And in promoting this, Nexon did say to people that the 16 pieces were provided at random, and as I already said, the actual chances were 0.5%. So again, the FTC are arguing here that they misled people. And that is pretty much the case across all three of these. Obviously the amount and how much they kind of misled people is different, but the reasoning behind each of these fines was the same. Not really surprised to see Nexon fighting back. They've obviously got the scratch to perhaps challenge this in court, but for the moment this is the FTC's ruling. We'll of course have to wait and see as to what may happen as a result of this. We may see the FTC doing another investigation or something else entirely. We're going to have to wait and see. But it is interesting to see. Now, of course, South Korea are not the only the only country who require the odds of loot boxes to be displayed. Of course, quite famously, China now requires that developers reveal the odds of winning in-game items before people hand over any money. And I wouldn't really be against something being implemented here and the USA as well. I mean, it probably won't stop people from spending money, but at least they're aware, they're armed with information. I don't see the harm of providing information of like, hey, you've got like a 1% chance of getting that cool Bastion skin or whatever. So I wouldn't be against that, but of course for the moment it is South Korea and China that I'm aware of. If there's somewhere else that I've missed, I did do a bit of research, but of course I'm just one person, so I have missed somewhere. Please do let me know in the comments, because I'd rather be informed for next time. So, let's finish things up with Jade Raymond. Now, as I said, she did leave Ubisoft for EA, and that she actually are working for their studio Motive. Now, we do know that it's going to be a new IP, but we don't have any concrete details on this, but she did discuss her undisclosed project at the annual GamesBeat conference, and she basically discussed how she's approaching this new IP, and of course drew to comparisons to Assassin's Creed. Now, here's what she had to say. She said, quote, "With Assassin's Creed, we were thinking, how can we build a brand that can evolve and live on, that other developers can take up and evolve? That was the framework. But now we're asking ourselves, how can we create a brand that can be owned by the fans and the players?" Now, she also acknowledged the fact that the relationship between the company that makes the games and the people who play them has definitely changed a lot in the last few years. Of course, there is just no longer, here is the company that makes the games and here are the people that play the games. You've also got people like modders, streamers, and obviously YouTubers like myself and all that sort of thing. Like, it's definitely a very, very different dynamic to say, for example, when I was still a teenager, which was a depressingly long time ago, when online gaming wasn't really a thing quite yet. And she said, quote, "It's not about here are the people who make the games and here are the people who play the games," and once again cited streamers, modders and influencers such as myself. And she said, quote, "There is no formula for making games. I love it when I see a game and I can't define what it is. I think a lot of things will change in games in drastic ways." Now, I'm going to take her comments with a pinch of salt, not because I particularly don't believe her, it's just I don't trust EA. And I don't think I can be blamed in that particular opinion. They do have a reputation for taking on creative people like Jade and being like, that creativity, that soul, that passion, that drive. Yeah, we're actually gonna like suck it out with you with a big corporate straw, and it's just gonna, it's gonna help fuel the company. Basically, I mean, if that's cool. I mean, obviously, I'm being a touch facetious there, but you kind of get my point. They are very notorious for shutting down companies and changing ideas, like they did with the whole Visceral thing. Like, we had this cool project that we didn't know much about, but what we had seen was so tantalizing. Yeah, a single player Star Wars project, great, sounds good, sign me up. And then EA's like, nah, we're going to cancel it, we're going to do an always online experience that we can milk as much money out of as possible. And I'm like, great, 2 thumbs up there, EA. So I'm a little bit concerned only because EA is involved, but I do like what I'm hearing from Jade here. Of course, she had nothing to say regarding the game itself, but I still found her comments interesting. And obviously it is a bit of a different approach to what she had at Ubisoft. And I do wonder what she means when she says owned by the fans and the players. Perhaps that means we're going to be seeing stream integration. Perhaps we're going to see a lot of mod support. Perhaps we're going to see both. I just hope we see an interesting game. That's all I really want. I want a good game. And obviously if it has new ideas and creativity and innovations to bring with it, then great. Cool. That's my favourite type of game. So let me know your thoughts and opinions, guys. What do you want to see Jade work on? I want to see something different from her that isn't like Assassin's Creed, if you got what I mean. I want to see her take what she's learned then. Obviously, Motive have done other things since then, like help out Star Wars Battlefront 2 and all that sort of thing. But once they've shaken off the trauma from that, then it can obviously take a few learning lessons from it as well. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what you'd like to see from them. I just want to have something creative and interesting, because his weird, wonderful ideas are the most intriguing to me. Anyway, that's me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.